Of course, in his previous academic life, the finance minister, Yanis Varoufakis, was an expert in game theory. So I've been speaking to another one, Professor Eyal Winter of Leicester University here in England, and author of Feeling Smart, Why Our Emotions Are More Rational Than We Think. I began by asking him, has there been any sign of Mr. Varoufakis using his academic expertise?
Well, I saw him and everybody that is involved in this crisis using game theory quite heavily. Let me start by saying that this is a situation of negotiations. Game theory is about interactive decision-making. It's about when your decision affects the other party and the other party's decision affects you. Now, one of the most crucial aspects in negotiations is that you demonstrate commitment to the other party, that you have some red lines that you are not willing to cross. One way of doing it by the Greeks is actually using two strategies. One of them is appealing to emotions. Emotion is a well-known technique of demonstrating commitment. When you are appealing to emotion, you're basically saying, look, I'm not going to behave rationally now, which means that I'm capable of doing things which are going to be bad for me, but detrimental to you. The other commitment that is being used as a tool for increasing your power in the bargaining by the Greeks is the referendum. The basic idea is to convince the public to vote no, and that if the public votes no, you can go back to the European Commission and say, look, it's not us. We would have signed it with pleasure, but it's the public. They don't give us the mandate.
Do you think the emotional strategies that the Greeks have been using really have worked on the European powers?
Sometimes these strategies do work, sometimes they don't. And it seems to me that in this case, they will not work. Part of it is because much of the Greek public is terrified, I believe, by the idea of walking out of the euro. And if the government knows that that's the way that many of the citizens will react, then they will cave in, potentially.
Do you think that Angela Merkel and the other European countries, they deep down, they know this?
But let me say that the European Commission is also using commitment devices to strengthen their own bargaining power. One of them was to stop the negotiation at the time when the referendum was declared. They could have continued bargaining with the Greeks through the period before the referendum is taking place. I think this would have been an awful mistake on the part of the Europeans to do, because this would have allowed the Greeks to basically exploit their own commitment, their own threats. And refusing to negotiate is also a commitment device, which is by itself very effective.
Professor Eyal Winter.